The following program is sponsored by Friends of Life Outreach International. Next on Life Today, actor Dennis Quaid opens up about his personal faith journey.
I was a seeker, and it just kept coming around that the red words of Jesus really resonated with me. And it was my mom who really, like I said, was my rock in that. And so I finally came to really, truly understand what a personal relationship with Jesus Christ is.
Hi, I'm Sheila Walsh. Welcome to Life Today. I'm here with Randy Robison, and we have a very special guest. You're probably a fan of lots of his movies. One of my favorites was The Day After Tomorrow, and The Parent Trap. So please, will you help me welcome? We're so excited to have Dennis Quaid with us. Thanks for being with us.
How are you?
Great. Yeah,
Good
great.
to be here.
Now, I mean, you've made so many movies of your career, and I was wondering, just first of all, is there anyone in particular that has really stuck with you? Maybe a role that kind of shifted your own perspective in life?
Well, my answer to always that people ask me what was my favorite movie, and my judgment on that is the experience that I had when I was shooting it.
Yeah.
As well as it being a great story and all that too, but The Right Stuff.
Oh,
which was
amazing.
a film I did about the original 7 astronauts, really sticks out more than anything else because it was my dream as a kid to be Gordo Cooper, who I wound up playing. I come from Houston, which was Space City.
Yeah.
And I got my pilot's license in that movie, and it's just still stays with me.
Yeah.
It resonates.
Dennis,
of course, there's others, but.
Yeah, well, a lot of our audience will know you definitely from I Can Only Imagine, where you played Arthur Millard, the father of Bart Millard. What did that character, did that say anything to you?
That's one of those films that's, I think, definitely in my top 5 of the films that I've done. Have the story, it's such an incredible story of faith, hope, and redemption. And that character was of Bart's dad. Was a very difficult part to play, but it really Bart was there on the set. In fact, the entire time. Bart Millard, if anybody's familiar with his story, he wrote the song "I Can Only Imagine," and he wrote it for his father, and who he had a very difficult relationship with. As a kid, and I'm talking about abusive relationship, and they through faith they came together and had an incredible relationship in the last years of his father's life, and it's an incredible story. And it for anybody out there to see this story, just to know that what God can do for us in life, the impossible situations, that nothing's impossible with God as far as healing.
Yeah, it's such a story of grace and redemption, of there being,
really is.
That there's a way home for everybody. But I was reading an article in the Houston paper about the passing of your mom. And your mom sounded to me like a pretty amazing woman.
Yeah.
And I wondered, because I got a letter from one of our viewers last week, and she said, I raised my son in the church, and now I'm in my 80s, and my son, I don't know how much of the legacy has remained. I want you to speak to the legacy of a godly mother.
Well, my mom has always been, my rock, really, in my life. I was raised at Southern Baptist in church and baptized back when I was 11, I think. And I became disenchanted with religion, as a teenager, and really kind of moved away. And my mother was always there. She would always tell me things like, not that I even wanted to hear them at the time. She would say things like, well, man's law may change, but God's law never changes. And the certain things that she would talk to me about, and she just, she persevered, and she didn't bang me over the head with it. She and I would have debates. We would have over this, and as it came around, I even explored other religions just to go out and find out about other religions. I read the Dhammapada, I read the Bhagavad Gita, I read the Quran. I was a seeker, and it just kept coming around that the red words of Jesus really resonated with me, and it was my mom who really, like I said, was my rock in that. And so I finally came to really truly understand what a personal relationship with Jesus Christ is. And I think she's really plays such a big part.
Yeah.
She was God's instrument in that's for sure.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Scripture says, seek and you will find. And so when I hear somebody say, I am a seeker, I was a seeker, I think, good, keep looking. Where do you think you are now with what you found?
Well, I've really come to Jesus as my Lord and Savior, a personal relationship with him. And I want to pass that on to my kids as well. And my mother passed about almost a year ago now. I was lucky enough to really having her around so long. She lived to be 92 years old, and thank God for that.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're kind of a true Renaissance man. Very, movies, reading, writing, music. I mean, your band, is it the Sharks?
Yeah.
Play, but you wrote this very special song for your mum. And I wonder, did she get to hear it before she passed?
Yeah, I wrote it for her. It's called "On My Way to Heaven," and I wrote it for her like 30 years ago.
Wow.
And so I played it for her back then. She always loved it. But I got the movie "I Can Only Imagine," which is about a son who writes a song for his father, and so I never got to finish the song, really. There was always something missing from it. But when I was doing that movie, within 15 minutes, the bridge came to me.
Wow.
And just like that, it was finished. So it took me 30 years and 15 minutes to write the song. But I was... and then I went in and recorded it with the Sharks, and then Tanya Tucker called me up because she heard it, and I recorded it with Tanya Tucker and Chris Christopherson and Brandy Carlisle. Wow. And we're going to put it out as a single this year. I hope to do.
Awesome.
And we completed that. That was, it was last year, and I was able to give it to my mom, the completed version, for her birthday.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What was her reaction?
Well, she just loved it. She really, 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 really loved it.
So you have this new podcast called, is it called The Denizens?
The Denizens, yeah, sort of like the Renaissance.
Yeah, I love that. Tell us, what's the heart behind that?
It's sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but because I'm into so many things. I'm a pilot, and I like to think I'm a golfer. And I've had so many interests in life, and let's put it that way. That's the reason that it's called that. But I've taken when I get a role as an actor, whether it's a real person or a fictional character, my favorite part of movie making is really the research of that character to figure out what makes them tick. So I've brought that same process to the Denizens, and so I treat my guests as if I'm going to play them in a movie, and I want to kind of figure out their point of view.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you have, is it just kind of wide open thing that doesn't, I mean, is it friends of yours from the...
Well, some of I have, some of them have been friends, the guests that have been on there, and some of them I've just met, like Billy Ray Cyrus, who was my first guest. We'd known each other for about, just a couple of, we were acquaintances, really. And it was really great to get to spend time with him. And because you're given sort of carte blanche, an opportunity to really just ask any question you want and to get in there. And I give my guests full editorial control that, in case they say something they don't want.
Which can happen,
so
yes.
Everybody will feeling of, to relax and, let their hair down.
So the thing that caught our eye about that, I mean, that's interesting. Obviously, I've listened to a couple of the podcasts, and yeah, you're right. It's interesting to really get into someone's life story and the way they think. But you say you want to connect on a personal and spiritual level, and of course, we're like, okay, now what does that mean? So I'm curious, what does it mean to connect when you talk about these people we see in the celebrity world? What does it mean to connect on a spiritual level?
Well, there are. It's the most important part of who we are. Is our who we is our spirit. Our souls. And it's not just what we do in life. It's I like to find out what do people believe, and what were the influences that they had growing up, or what were they told, and that's interesting to me, and it's something that people rarely talk about, or sometimes don't even know how to talk about.
Right.
To tell you the truth,
right?
Because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody, or they're embarrassed about it, or whatever it is. The hesitancy. But I try to create an atmosphere where people feel free to talk about who they are.
That's great. One of the things I spent so much of the formative years of my life trying to be the perfect Christian so that God would love me. And it took me a long, long time, and actually a month in a psych hospital, to understand that it was actually his idea in the beginning. It was never mine, and that I didn't have to try so hard. And I wrote in a book.
That's why they call it redemption, because it's free, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I wonder, if you could talk to your 21-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Boy, I would really tell him to take it easy. And, I figured out that, like you, that I had to turn over every rock. Yeah. That's where I was. I don't think it was about proof. I just think it was about, I just couldn't put together things that I was told, and the fact, what was a fact, and or between the spirit and the faith. It's about learning how to live your life by faith. And it took me a long time to get there. But I guess that's what my mom said. God's not through working on you yet.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well,
So true.
And that's the beauty of redemption, is because God can take whatever we think is maybe wasted or whatever and make something beautiful.
Yeah, what I found that is, you better be really careful about what you ask God for, because he might give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's never in the way that you thought it would be.
No.
I do have a question, and I hope this works, but I'm going to go off script just a touch. You have spent most of your life in Hollywood, in production and in the spotlight, but you had that church background, and now you're doing interviews like this, where you're in movies like I Can Only Imagine. When you look at the church and at the Christian culture at large, what do you see? Maybe is there anything we could do better to bridge the gap between the secular and the sacred?
I don't think so. I think it's I'll tell you what I think is really great is what they call faith-based movies now, or now they have all different types of terms for them. But I think Hollywood is really coming towards the spiritual, actually. That there's a market out there for these. People love to see inspiring films that really speak to something real in people's lives. And I haven't seen a lot with movies lately. They're mostly video games, and but there is this market. Like when I Can Only Imagine came out, there was so many in Hollywood. They were writing. I remember they were writing it like the marketplace columns that it wasn't going to do very well. Maybe 2 million it might make it in a weekend. It wound up making $17 million that weekend, and I think it's really waking a lot of Hollywood up to that. What the kind of stories that really people want to see. And I think I think I see that happening more and more around me.
Yeah, it's great. We'll all remember 2020 is the year when this strange virus hit and everything shifted. And one of the actual greatest things for me has been home with my husband. I'm usually on the road speaking, traveling. And I wonder, how has it been for you and your family? Has it been a difficult transition, or what does it look like for you?
Well, I think it's like a spiritual awakening. I think it has made us all closer. These crises and everything that we go through, which are tests, basically, they bring up the issues that are really in our lives that we don't have the time to get to, or we put off, or deny, or whatever. They come bubbling up to the surface, and they're right in our face, and we all have to face them, for better or worse. And that has come into this house as well, and it's really made us a lot closer. In the end, and there's days that you go through that you go, oh wow, this is like too much for me. But you get those, and it's like learning new skills, and there is. I don't think I know that I'm not going to look back, and I never regret any time that I get to spend with my kids. And this is going to be a time I think we're going to look back and sort of, in a way, cherish this time that we all had together.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, if we do it right. All right. So what's in store for Dennis Quaid? What should we expect in the next months, years?
Well, I'm ready for everything to open up and get back to work here. And I'm supposed to play Ronald Reagan here starting in September. I was supposed to start in May, and but I would really like to get down to doing that now. It's been sort of like a couple of years in the making, and it's time to do that story.
Interesting parallels between you and Ron Reagan. Now that you bring him up.
We were both that kind of actors. And,
I think you beat him in that category.
We both kind of have a sunny disposition, I think. He was my favorite president.
Yeah. And an influential mother, and a faith that not everybody knew about but was real.
Yeah, he was the real deal himself. I think we as a country were very lucky to have him as a president.
I agree. There's nobody been like him since. And one of the things that we care about here at Life Today is that rather than just talk about our faith, we want to give it feet. And so we are very committed to going to areas of the world where there's a tremendous need and being the answer. So I'm going to ask our viewers to take a look at this, and then we'll have a chance to come back and say goodbye.
These mothers are on a mission to collect drinking water for their families. The irony is their water sources are contaminated and a threat to their very lives. When asked, why do you go back each day, they will sometimes say to you, what choice do I have?
Here's the reality. This woman has two choices. The one choice is she takes this disease-filled, contaminated water back to her children, and that's what she gives them to drink, knowing well, she's not confused. She knows that this water could give her children a waterborne disease and could steal their lives. But her choice is either to do that or to take no water at all, and she knows that no water at all means a sure death.
These women have learned to live with the consequences of collecting contaminated water. It is something they must do to avoid dehydration and certain death. No mother should ever have to live this way.
That's why I need your help today. I need you to help us to bring a water well to this village so that through Mission Water for Life, we're able to reach out to this mother, to the children of this village, and give them a water well, give them fresh, clean water, give them life in the form of water.
It really is no choice at all, is it? I mean, can you imagine that that's your choice every single day for your children? You either give them water that you know potentially could end their life, or you give them no water, which you know will end their life eventually. These mothers are just like you and me. That's the thing that has really stayed with me every time I'm on one of these trips, that we sit down with these moms and we talk about the same kind of stories, you know, how much we love our children, what we hope for our children. But the conversations there always take a devastating turn. Because if I was sitting just talking with you and we're talking about our kids going to school and what our hopes and dreams for their future might be, these moms can't do that because they don't know if any of their children have a hope or have a future. But what we've discovered here at Life, and it's one of the things I love so much about what James and Betty began so many years ago, is they see a problem, and then they see the people that are providing an answer to that problem, and then they want to undergird them. And you have helped us do that. But there's so many more wells that need to be drilled. So these mothers have a choice of saying, you know, I'm not sure what I'm gonna make for dinner tonight. We don't have much food, but I know I can give my children clean water. But we need you to help us. And it's so doable, Randy.
Yeah. You know, Sheila, I know you've been there, I've been there. When we touch the water, when we smell the water, but the beautiful thing about it is the contrast between that polluted water, that death, and the clean water that we bring. I mean, when that water comes out of the ground and it's clean, it's drinkable, it's life. And that's really what we're asking you to give today. Join us in Water for Life. Let's give life around the world, and I'll tell you how easy it is. $48 is all it takes to give 10 people clean, life-filled water for a lifetime. This is the last week of Water for Life, so we really need your help right now. Maybe you can give an entire well, $4,800. If you can do that, my goodness, do that today. Maybe you can provide $144 for 30 people to have that clean drinking water, that life. Whatever you can do. The invitation is this: will you join with us? Will you reach out with the love of Christ around the world and give them life through Water for Life? I pray you'll do it now. Give the best gift you can. Go online, go to the phones, do it today.
Dirty, disease-filled water. How desperate would a mother need to be to consider giving this contaminated substance to her child? For many mothers and their families living in extreme poverty, this is their only choice. With your help, they won't have to make this choice ever again. Mission Water for Life provides clean, disease-free water for thousands of children and their families, giving them a life free from the fear of death. With your gift today, you can help drill and establish the final 150 water wells this year. Your gift of $48 will help provide water for 10 people. $72 will provide for 15. $144 will help provide life-giving water for 30 people for a lifetime. And a gift of $4,800 will help sponsor a complete well, serving up to 1,000 people. With your gift, we'll send you Today is a Good Day seasonal devotional set. Broken out into the 4 seasons of the year, this beautiful set features a daily scripture, inspirational thoughts, and a place for you to journal your own thoughts, prayers, and insights from God's Word. With your gift of $100 or more, request the leather-bound, life-giving Proverbs Journal, filled with wisdom and daily encouragement from Proverbs, including lined pages for your personal notes. Finally, please consider a gift of $1,200 to help provide water for 250 people, or a gift of $4,800 to help sponsor a complete well. And you may request a Mother's Strength bronze sculpture. This is the last week. Please call, write, or make your gift online.
This is one of those very exciting days for me when I get to be in the presence of happy children and fresh, clean water. It wasn't that long ago where we came into this village and they had no clean water at all, nothing. And children were dying. Talked to some moms that have lost husbands, lost children. I mean, it was really, really heartbreaking. What an exciting day for me to travel back here today and to see the fruit of what we have given together. When you partner with Life Outreach, it's wells like this that make it possible to give them fresh, clean water. Will you please consider partnering with us today? Go online or call the number at the bottom of your screen and give the best gift that you can give. I know that together we can make a difference, not just in this village, but hundreds of villages all around the world. Let's make a difference and let's change it today.
We appreciate all that we do and hope you will do what you can. What you do today will make a difference forever. Sheila, it's just been honored to be able to talk to our guest, Dennis Quaid, today. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been lovely. We just want to thank you so much. We look forward to the movie Ronald Reagan coming out. We hope it gets moving soon. But thank you for sharing so much of yourself and your life, and we're just grateful for you.
Well, thank you as well. Thanks for having me on the show. God bless you.
Thanks for being with us, folks, and we will see you next time on Life Today. We love you.
Bye-bye.
The late Ravi Zacharias, tomorrow.
Because to somebody whose mind is bent towards deceit and a lie, the darkness becomes the light.
Life Today is made possible by the supporters of Life Outreach International. Your gift will be used exclusively for the exempt purposes of life. The ministry features specific outreaches as examples of the programs it supports and conducts. Gifts are considered to be without restriction as to use unless explicitly stipulated by the donor. The ministry is a member of the ECFA.